Hey guys, we are back for Bandcamp Dailies number 40. And before I start, last night I had mentioned at the end of my video that there was possibility for some good TV reception, and take a gander at what happened. I wake up this morning and I picked up a new channel. And so I was extremely excited. I just made a YouTube short right now that will be posted at 9:15. This video right now is going to be coming out after that. But I just finished making my video that sort of addressed my new channel. And so I was very excited. And there's still stuff going on tonight. And you can see I'm getting some action on channel 2. I haven't picked up anything yet on channel 2, but the signal strength is going up. And so I have my tuner open. I'll just go over here to show you what I'm talking about. Here's channel 2. I'll show you the graph. You can see normally it's just down here and between 40 and 50. And then it's started to go up, and then it's all over the place. So I don't know if I'm going to get anything on channel 2. I'm not really aimed in the proper direction, and I can't change the aim because, so I just have to hope that something happens. So I'm just going to leave my tuner open underneath there. I know no one cares about this. Literally no one cares about this. But this is my biggest hobby, and I'm literally super excited because I'm a fucking loser. Now, we have some listens today. We have 7 listens, and we have 4 songs we're going to be talking about. So on 2 different albums. So we're going to start off with Flaming Holy Water. This is the first song from the Impaled by Christ's Erection album. Oh, quite the outrageous. Is that a band name or an album title? I think it's the album title. It was originally going to be a band name. This was going to be a side project of mine. Now, I'll talk about that later. So we have that to talk about. We have It's Supposed to Be Sad to talk about. This is the second version of this song that we're going to be hearing. We listened to the original version a little while ago, and this is the second version. And then we have 2 crippler demos. These are super old. These are from when I was living in Newfoundland. Back, this was in the 90s, between 97 and 99. So probably 98, I think, is when I recorded them. Super long time ago when I was just a teenager in high school. Okay, so we have to get right to it because It's Supposed to Be Sad is very long. And I don't want this video to be too long. I say it every single time. So let's go to Flaming Holy Water. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is from Impaled by Christ's Erection, 2002. Now, yeah, obviously a very outrageous album name. So back in these days, that was sort of the fun thing to do, to try and be shocking and edgy and outrageous with your song titles and stuff like that. And that's what I was going for with this. It also has a double meaning. Now, you might see Christ's and you might think it's religious, but my name is Christopher. So this could be short for Christopher, and it could be impaled by Christ's erection, as if I am impaling your pussy with my dick. So I was having sex with you. So, that could be an alternate meaning. Was it the alternate meaning? No, I don't know, but I thought of that a lot over the years. So it's got a double meaning. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with religion. Now, okay, I have a whole bunch of stuff written down in a text file. So let's just see. I think I talked about that. Oh yeah. So back in these days, I used to order from Relapse Records. It's a record label. I would buy some stuff online. That was probably the first stuff I bought online back in those days. By the way, tonight is a popcorn night, but we have a bit of an intro to do to cue up the song. The song is only 28 seconds long. But yeah, so I used to buy stuff from Relapse Records, and they used to send like a magazine or a catalog or something that had all their stuff in it. And so me and Dave, my buddy Dave, we would look through, like at the end of the catalog, it had everything. So, it was like a magazine, right? So they had articles and stuff. Maybe it was just the catalog. Anyway, we would look through this catalog, and what we liked doing was trying to find the funniest band names. And so it wasn't just about being shocking. It was being funny, because a lot of these band names and album titles and song titles were very funny because of how outrageous they were. That's and how shocking and offensive they were. And it was ended up being funny. Like, it was humorous. And so we would look through this catalog to try and find the funniest band names. And I think our favorite band name that we saw was a band called Bathtub Shitter. Now, I don't think we ever heard what the band actually sounded like. I'm assuming we wouldn't have liked the band, but it was very memorable band name. I still remember it to this day. And I'm pretty sure that he does too. But yeah, that was always fun. When we found that name, we laughed quite heartily. So that was something we used to do back in the day when we were younger chaps. All right, so what else do I have to say about this? I said that. Yeah, so this, Impaled by Christ's Erection, this was going to be a side project of mine. I think I mentioned that off the top. I just have to check my tuner here. Yeah, seems like it's gone. Unfortunately, sorry, I'm distracted because of the new potential for new channels. That sort of takes priority over everything in my life. What was I saying? Side project. Yeah. So I sort of created a side project, and I wrote a bunch of songs for this, actually. Now, a bunch that I didn't even record as well. So if I go over here and I go to Forgotten Shards, I have a whole bunch of extra tabs. All these tabs right here are songs that I did not record. So there's some Bagless stuff, and then the Franker stuff is what I'm talking about. That is the Impaled by Christ's Erection stuff. So I don't know how many songs I had written for this specific project, but what I wanted to do, the entire point of this was to have, I don't know how many songs, but the first letter of each song title would correspond to so you have the track list, right? And then you have the first letter of each song title. And if you spell it going down vertically, it would spell out a word or a phrase or something. And so I have F and then I have U. Can you guess what the next ones are going to be? So, once I finished the album, it was going to spell out fuck off and die. So now I don't know how many letters that is. So fuck off is 7 and die is 6. So 7 plus 6 is 13, right? I probably almost made 13 songs. So that's what the plan was. And then I just sort of abandoned it for whatever reason. Then I just continued writing my Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror album. So I never got around to it, which is kind of unfortunate because I very much enjoyed writing and recording these songs because they're very short, obviously. I didn't really, they were much looser. I don't know what the word is. It was just fun. Like, this was a fun side project. It wasn't like a super serious type of music like I was doing for my Time of Death for the Forever Trapped in a Broken Mirror stuff that I was working on. Now, what else do I have to say? Side project, blah, 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 Franker kit. Yeah. Okay. So, and another reason why this was a side project and why it was like just about fun and it wasn't super serious is I played drums. These are the first songs that I played drums on, which is really cool. That's not technically true though, because the very first song that I ever recorded myself with, on drums was a Cannibal Corpse cover. I don't even know if that's available on, I don't think it is on Bandcamp. But I don't even remember what year I recorded that. 2002. Yeah, recorded in 2002. Dave, so, okay, it's just all coming back to me now. We've talked about the cassette jams, some of the cassette jams recording sessions where Dave brought his kid over to my parents' house and then it was there for like a day or two. And so and we talked about various songs. We listened to various songs that were recorded while the kid was at my parents' house. And so when I was there by myself, I recorded drums for, it was for one of the sessions. I don't know if it was the first session. Probably not, because I sucked horribly at drums. But it was for one of the sessions. Dave brought his drums over, and I recorded by myself. I recorded the drums for this Cannibal Corpse cover that I'm talking about. It was for the song Addicted to Vaginal Skin. Cannibal Corpse, once again, Cannibal Corpse has some very good song titles back in the day. That is from the Tomb of the Mutilated album from 1992. Some classic song titles. And so that's the first song I ever recorded on drums. But these were the first songs I recorded drums for, like, of my original music. So that's pretty interesting. And not only that, this was recorded on what Dave and I called the Franker kit. And so I bought so Dave was buying a new drum kit. I hadn't started playing drums yet, but I really wanted to play drums. My goal in life was to play a blast beat, to figure out how to play a blast beat, because Dave wasn't into that style of drumming. And I just wanted to add those beats to my songs so badly. And so Dave was going to buy a new kit, and I was going to buy Dave's old kit. And so Dave started buying this new kit, but he was buying it in different pieces. And so he didn't have the whole kit to give me at the same time. And so he had a bunch of extra pieces of drums laying around, like broken pieces, some broken cymbals, some broken stands, stuff he didn't use anymore, stuff that he got when he was really young, that sort of stuff. And so he made a Franker kit out of scraps that he had laying around at home. And so he had 2 broken cymbals that he gave me with a couple crappy stands. And then he had his original snare drum that only had a top skin. It didn't have a bottom skin. We've actually seen that on video. Those were the very first drumming videos I ever made were with that snare drum. And he didn't have a bass drum to give me. And so I had this big cardboard box that I put weights inside. And then I used that as a bass drum, and he gave me a bass drum pedal. And so that was my first drum kit, and I used that to practice on. So let's just read the description here. These were recorded with the Franker drum kit I used before I got my first actual drum kit. The Franker kit consisted of 2 cymbals, a snare drum, and a cardboard box filled with weights as a bass drum. I recorded the drums by recording the cymbal snare only. Then I pasted in a sample of the cardboard bass drum for every bass drum hit. Yeah, so I only recorded my hands playing the drums on these songs, and then for the bass drum, I just added it in the recording program. I didn't actually I recorded a sample of the bass drum, and then I, pasted it in after the fact. So that's what I did there, and I think that's all I have to say. Now, the vocals on this song I really like. The vocals on both of them. I think on the first song that we're listening to, there are only the higher pitched vocals. I was trying to be really obnoxious with the vocals, and it was very raspy and very phlegmy. I was trying to be over the top, but it ended up after the fact, years later, I really liked that style. I wish I would have used that style more often. I feel like I've tried to use that style much later on. And so we're going to listen to this song. By the way, this song, the original title was much longer. I think it was Flaming Holy Water. I don't know if there was a dash or brackets or something, but Flaming Holy Water, a semen smegma concoction. so quite gross. I don't know if you know what smegma is. Don't look it up. And so that was the original song title. I don't know why I took it off, but I remember that just before starting the video. Let's just check my tuner again. Yeah, seems like it's gonzo. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up anything new. Okay, so we're going to listen to this song. I think we're going to listen to it, and I'll make the popcorn in between the next song. Okay, so I think I talked about everything, so let's listen to this. This is Flaming Holy Water. All right. I like that. There are two cymbals. They're broken, but it doesn't sound too bad. Even the snare doesn't sound too bad. The bass drum is a cardboard box, so that doesn't sound very good. It sounds much better on this one, on Urethra Blood Clog. Yeah, so a lot of outrageous song titles and album titles. And not only that, but I have a tab to show you. Now, I don't know the sequence of events here. So let's go to Power tab. We will open Bagless' newest song. Bagless was Dave's side project. And so I sort of wrote songs for that as well. But then that side project became defunct. And then I just used some of the songs for my side project, which eventually became defunct as well. And so the whole Forgotten Shards thing that I was 2016. In 2016, I gathered all of my unreleased stuff and I was going to record it eventually as an album, and I was going to flesh out the songs that only had a few riffs and whatnot, but I never ended up doing it. So that's why all this stuff is here. However, what I'm trying to say is this, I think I wrote this first. I think. So I'm assuming I wrote it for Bagless, for the Bagless side project. Now, and then we didn't end up doing that. And so the riff we just heard, the song we just heard, it is at the very end of this song. So this song has a bunch of extra stuff at the beginning. And I think this was the first version of it. I don't know. This may have come after. I really don't remember. It was over 20 years ago, so it's hard to remember. But let's listen. So this has a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning. And then the song we just heard comes right at the very end. And I will motion when it comes. I forgot to motion when it started because I was thinking of what popcorn I was going to have. I was distracted. Okay, let's just see what the video length is so far. How in the sweet hell are we already at 18 minutes? Come on, man. How do I talk so long about nothing? I don't know what my problem is. Okay, so before I go make popcorn, we have to cue up the next song. So that was that song. Thank you for listening. So let's go back. Let's go here and let's go to, it doesn't matter which one we click on. So this song is like 12 minutes long. It's extremely long. So the first version of it is supposed to be sad. We've talked about this album many times, so there's no reason to talk about it again. But the first version of this song is this one, Kansas City, It's Supposed to Be Sad. This was just Ken and I. This was for the infamous jam session where it was just him and me, and we both played drums. We were not drummers at the time, and so it was very fun. And then I ended up playing this song, the same song, with Dave. So the song itself was like a bunch of riffs that I had come up with. I'd never fully written the song. It was just riffs that I had in my head. Ken didn't know the song, the riffs and the riff order and all that sort of stuff. So he was improvising. I was sort of improvising as well, at least with the structure and the arrangement, but I knew the riffs. And then I was jamming with Dave one day. It was just Dave and I. So this is probably in the year 2000, whereas this one was 1999. And so where is it? It's supposed to be sad right here, 11:55. It's very long, extremely long. But and then so Dave and I played this song as well. And it's obviously much longer in this version. Dave did not know the song at all. And so he was definitely improvising. And I was also semi-improvising the structure and stuff like that. It's very similar to, well, at times it's very similar to the one that Ken and I did. But then it sort of goes off towards the end into something completely different. And to be honest, I think I prefer the original one better. It's shorter, and that's not a knock on Dave. Dave is obviously a way better drummer than Ken. Ken did not play drums. And so the drumming on this is much better. But I feel like this one was better. I like my performance on guitar better on the original version as well. So maybe that's another reason. This one is just way too drawn out. It's way too long, and I think the recording quality is even better on this one as well. All this was recorded on cassette tapes with one microphone, so this must have been a bad cassette tape. All right, and so this was recorded at Dave's mom's house. So all of the District of Columbia stuff was recorded at Dave's mom's house. I think they were recorded during different sessions as well. There's a lot of, what are those called? Cover songs. There were a lot of cover songs in these sessions as well that I never uploaded because they were cover songs. I only uploaded our original stuff. And all of the original stuff is improvised. At least between, like, the drums are 100% improvised. The riffs, I knew some of the riffs, and then some of the riffs I didn't know the riffs at all. So, but this is going to be it's supposed to be sad. So I'm going to make some popcorn, and we have to get right to listening because we're already 20 something minutes in. I will be right back. And we are back. I got my popcorn, got a lot of it actually. This is the red variety of popcorn. I guess that's my favorite at the moment. I'm starting to run out of it, though. I might have to make another order, or I'll switch to the purple. Anyway, by the way, it was very hot out today. It's still hot right now. I'm sort of sweating a little bit, and it's supposed to be even hotter tomorrow, so I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not a fan of the hot weather. I had some real problems today with my eyes getting extremely dry because of the grass pollen in the air, so it's definitely grass season. However, I flushed my eyes out with water, and it seems to be fine now, so that's a good thing. All right, so let's listen to It's Supposed to Be Sad. By the way, I mentioned in the previous video that this song was inspired by the Pantera song Floods. Did you listen to it? It's a good song. I like the first bunch of, I don't know how many minutes, but I really like that song. Okay, so the first part of the song's over. That involved sort of picking each string individually. And now we switch off to the second part of the song, which involves strumming the chords. Instead of picking each note, you strum the chords. By the way, just picture this guy impaling you with his dick, with his erection. Actually, no, don't do that, because this guy is like 15 years old. Sorry about that. And so I also tried different riffs in this song as well. So I tried to add more to the song. I don't think it worked out very well. That's another reason why I prefer this original version, but just not a very good performance on my part. Okay, I think the third part of the song is about to happen. The third part involves distortion. I turn the distortion on my guitar, so it gets a little heavier. This popcorn is so good. Okay, so now it goes on to I think the fourth part now. Is that what part we're on? This is obviously the last part of the song. The song completely changes, and we do some like death metal type of stuff. All right, there you go. There's the sequel to It's Supposed to Be Sad. That is It's Supposed to Be Sad Part 2, I guess. All right, so now we have two songs left. The first Crippler demos, Crippler demo number 1 and Crippler demo number 2. So I have a little bit of stuff to say about these. These were the first full songs that I ever recorded. These demo songs down here. This was back in between 97 and 99. So I think I said it was either 97 or 98 was when I recorded these songs. So this was just me on guitar. There were no other instruments. I was alone in my room. And what else did I say? Yeah, I was living in St. John's, Newfoundland. I probably had the girlfriend at the time. I never showed her those songs. I was still very new at the whole guitar game. I don't even know if she ever saw me play guitar. I'm trying to think here. I remember there was this one time a bunch of friends came over to the house, including there were some girls there too, and everyone was in my room. We were just hanging out, and I believe I was playing along to some White Zombie. They're a band. I feel like she was there, my girlfriend at the time. I just thought about this now. Like, did she ever see me play guitar? I don't know. I was very new at guitar back then, so I was probably, not very confident in my abilities. And so I was just doing it alone by myself, trying to get better. And so these were the first songs I ever recorded. And I had planned, I was working on making like a full demo, like album type thing on cassette. And so I had written a bunch of songs. These three in particular, I don't know if I wrote more. And I recorded these. And what happens? I sort of just gave up. I even started, it was going to be called Ancient Tales from the Forest of Death. And obviously I didn't release that back then, but I reused that title in my earliest album. Let's just go right here. Ancient Tales from the Forest of Death from year 2000. So I came up with that title back in the late 90s when I was in Newfoundland, because that was the original title for this demo that I was working on. And I was drawing I was drawing a cover album art, and I gave up. I had this like art book that I didn't really draw much in there. I started and then I just gave up. And then I remember, I guess I didn't really have a lot of motivation to finish the songs, because I don't know, I probably didn't like them very much. It was only guitar. But I remember going on the Cannibal Corpse message board way back in the late 90s. And I remember posting a thread. And it said something like Ancient Tales from the Forest of Death. That was the thread title. And then in the body of the thread of the message, it said something like, "Get ready for it." So I was trying to hype people up for my shitty cassette demo that only had guitar and that I never ended up finishing. And I didn't give any information about it at all. So this is back when I was a complete noob. And I'm assuming no one replied to the thread. I don't know. It may have even been deleted. I don't remember. This was when 97, I would have been 14. So I was between 14 and 16 years old. So I was quite a young lad. Yeah, so don't picture this guy impaling you with his erection. That would be inappropriate, very much inappropriate, because he's a minor. So don't do that. I misspoke earlier, so please do not do that. And what do we have? What else do we have here? First of all, I was recording a demo, blah, blah, blah. It only had guitar, yes. Making a dumb thread, yes. And reuse the album title, yes. Okay, so I talked about the demos. And, so now we're going to talk about the two songs. So we have Crippler Demo 1, Crippler Demo 2. You may notice this is 16 minutes long. We're not listening to the whole thing. I don't like any of these songs at all. They're so old. And, there are a couple things I like about them, and I will mention them. However, the Crippler Demo 1, the first 4 minutes, I absolutely love. I still love them. It's somehow the first 4 minutes have just held up over the years, over the almost 30 years. That just seems insane. And so should I just start it? Yeah, I'm going to start the song. We're going to listen to the first 4 minutes of Crippler Demo 1. And then we're just going to stop. And we'll go to the next song. Yeah, so the first 4 minutes is just finger picking, just finger banging. Once again, don't picture this guy finger banging you. Picture me finger banging you. Me as I am right now. That was a completely spontaneous joke, by the way, and it made me laugh. The whole finger banging thing as well. Whenever I hear finger picking, I say finger banging now out of habit, and I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't planning on doing that, but I did. The whole song, or the first 4 minutes, is finger picking, and I believe so. I have memories of writing that riff, like the first 4 minutes. This riff that we just listened to, I have memories of writing that when I lived in Sudbury between 95 and 97. Now, I don't know if that's true or not because I was really bad at guitar back then, but I have memories of it. I would sit in bed against the wall, or I would lie down and I would finger pick this riff. Either way, I love this riff so much, especially when I add a string. But everything about the riff is just perfect. I mean, I added something to it later on. It doesn't appear in this version of the song, but I remember I sort of tweaked the riff slightly and I added a couple things to it, which was also cool. But obviously that was afterwards, after the fact. But it's just like, I have no complaints about the first 4 minutes. I am just super proud of it. And let's just listen to it. Obviously, it's not super tight because I was so young and inexperienced, but the melody is there. That's what I like about it. That open note there, do you hear that? That is just so perfect. It's so perfect. And I mentioned this before in a previous video about how I like using those chords where it's like one note, the low note is one note, and then another note is higher, and it's the octave up, but it's one fret down. So it's like a semitone lower. And so it's not quite an octave. It's one semitone below an octave. I don't know what those are called, but this is probably the first time I ever used that idea. And that's probably why I still like this riff so much, because it incorporates that idea. All right, I think that's all we have to listen to there. The first 4 minutes. That is, I mean, I love that. I could listen to that on repeat for quite a while. I haven't listened to that in a while. I mean, I listened to it somewhat recently. I think I listened to it today, actually, because I noticed someone listened to it. Yeah, so I listened to it today. No, it was last night. When I think it was last night. Anyway, I love that riff so much. And so now it was like the first riff I ever recorded of myself in a full song. So it's got a lot of meaning to me. All right, so now we are going to listen to Crippler demo number 2. Yeah, so this has, I really like the guitar tone on this. This is a heavier song. Now, what I'm doing there, so you notice how it like goes up, the pitch goes up slightly at the end of the riff. I believe what I'm doing is, so I just hope you know how to play guitar. I hope anyone listening knows a guitar. So at the end of the guitar, I think it's what's called the nut. And so that's what the strings rest on. And then, so what I did, I think I put my finger on the opposite side of the nut. So, on one side of the nut, you have your fretboard with your frets. On the opposite side of the nut, you have your tuning pegs. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing over here. Your tuning pegs. And so, but if you put your finger on like the opposite side of the nut, where the tuning pegs are, you can push down on the strings there, and you can change their pitch, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what I did, because I did not have a whammy bar at this time. And so I'm just playing an open note here. And so that's what I'm pretty sure that's what I did. In order to raise the pitch like a whammy bar, I pushed down on the string on the opposite side of the nut. That was a technique I developed. I invented it. This is like a nu metal type song. We're not going to listen to the whole thing. Yeah, so we have some palm mutes there. I don't know if those are real palm mutes or if they're fake palm mutes. I just remembered now. For a while, I did not know what a palm mute. I didn't know how to make the palm mute sound. I don't even think I knew what it was called. I obviously heard it on music before. I had this friend named Danny Fudge. He went to the first high school, Holy Heart, in St. John's, Newfoundland. I went to his. Yeah, that sounds like a real palm mute. But before I learned how to palm mute, I used to palm mute. I used to do the sound, but what I did was I put my finger on the fret that I wanted to play, and then I put my other finger on the fret in front of it, but I didn't push the string down. So it muted it, and it made the same sound as a palm mute, a very similar sound as a palm mute. And so that's what I did in order to make palm mutes. I didn't know you were supposed to use your palm on your fretting hand to put your palm down on the bridge, just in front of the bridge, and that's how you make the palm muted sound. I didn't know that until I was at Danny's house for lunch one day. He was a guitar player. He was much better than I was, and we were talking about music and guitar and stuff, and he was playing, and he said palm mute, and he was playing the palm mute, and then it clicked in my head. Oh, a palm mute, and you have to use your picking hand. And so that's when I realized, oh, that's how you make the sound. But before that, I was doing my own version of a palm mute by muting the string with my fretting hand. It worked great. It did work, but I mean, you're limited in what you can do when you do it on your fretting hand, because it's much more versatile if you use your picking hand. But very heavy palm mutes here. Yeah, so you get the idea. So that's that song. I don't think we're going to listen to any more of that. So would you buy a demo that sounded like that? I'm assuming no. I definitely wouldn't. So listen to that, and then if we listen to my latest album, this is like 26 years later or something. 26, 27 years later. Would you think that this is the same guy? So this what we just listened to, and then now in the year 2024 he's doing stuff like this. Does that sound right, or does that seem real? I don't know. It is real, though. I mean, it might not seem very plausible, but that is the reality that I live in. This is what I like now. All right, so I think that's going to be it from the video. If we've learned anything, it's to don't picture this guy finger banging you. Picture me as a 42-year-old finger banging you. That's what you should picture. That's what we've learned from the video. So I will see you next time. And don't forget to think about that.